Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'll be looking today at More Cash and More Guns by Ludovic Maublanc and Repo Production. This is an expansion for the 2014 release, Cash and Guns, all right, by the same people. This is a second edition of a game that first came out in 2005 with some streamlined rules. The gist of the game is that you are all bank robbers. You've returned to your hideout and you want to divvy up the loot, but naturally you want more loot than everyone else, right? Duh. So how this plays out over 8 rounds is that at the start of each round, you load your gun, either with a bang or a click card, in secret. Godfather for the round counts 1, 2, 3, and you point at someone who you want to step aside, right? Godfather can redirect where one person is pointing. Okay. The Godfather then counts 1, 2, 3. You can back out of the round if you think you're going to get shot. You put that down. No one reveals whether they were going to shoot you or not. Anyone who's still pointing their gun shoots or doesn't. If someone's wounded, they're out for the round because they got to first stop all the bleeding. Everyone who's still in the round, starting with the Godfather, takes a share of the loot, and you keep going around the table until everyone has picked all the stuff that's there. Whoever gets the Godfather tile will then start the next round. And after 8 rounds, you see who has the most money and wins. Okay. If you get lots of diamonds, if you get more than anyone else, you get this huge diamond bonus. If you collect paintings, the more paintings you get, right, the more valuable that collection is, even though in real life it's almost impossible to find stolen art that's well known, but never mind. Okay. Whoever gets the most money wins. That's the original game. What does the expansion add? Here are the components in More Cash and More Guns, which both expand the original game and introduce some new elements. You have 3 roll cards that you now shuffle with the roll cards from the basic game and deal 2 to each player. The player chooses one and the other one is discarded. You get a little choice now on who you want to be in the game. 2 of these cards relate to new guns, which I'll explain in a little bit. You also have these secret cards, which function like the roll card in that you'll shuffle, you'll deal 2 to each player chooses one, and you reveal it when the time is right. And they let you do special things like decide how the loot's going to be divvied up or take a share of the loot, even if you stepped out of the round. You can take someone else's power, all right? If they die, take their identity. One of them relates to this tiny gun here. If you use this, you get to aim at 2 people now with your guns. But this is a single shot, so once you wound someone with this, you have to toss it away. Right. You also have new loot cards to be shuffled into the deck. This item has no value on its own, but it's worth 2 diamonds, almost assuredly getting you to that bonus. You've got a suitcase and a key, and if the player or players who hold these at the end of the game are still alive, then they each get $25,000 for unlocking this money hidden inside. Okay. You have a painting that, no, that's not a classic painting, but if you pay $20,000, someone will guarantee that it is, increasing the value of your collection. You have a bunch of counterfeit money, dollars, as they say there, $10,000 and $20,000. The Godfather at the end of the round, end of the last round, gets to decide whether the counterfeit money counts or not towards the goal. Strengthens the power of the Godfather, which I've seen some people complain was a little too weak. Well, now you got a reason to be Godfather in the final round, assuming you've been collecting all this. How does this money come into play? Well, it involves this safe here, and you've got 2 safe breaker cards. At the start of the game, you're going to shuffle 16 cards, and you put them face down underneath the safe. Whoever is Godfather for the round, instead of taking a share of the loot, can decide who wants to dip into the safe. And that player takes the top 2 cards, keeps one, and passes the other to the right, to his right-hand man, as it were, and that player keeps it, whether or not they had stepped out of the round. This safe breaker card lets you dip into the safe and look at everything in there and take an item of your choice. You're stealing from the Godfather, which seems risky, but what's he going to do? Shoot you? Oh yeah, he's going to shoot you. All right. As for these guns, well, let's point at my face again. The new guns in More Cash and More Guns come into play through 2 of the roll cards that have been added to the game. One of them is the big gun that takes the place of the regular gun. And now if you wound someone with the big gun and they haven't been wounded before, you do 2 wounds to them instead of 1. You bring them already right to the verge of death thanks to your big gun. Okay. The twin guns come into play a different way. One of them has a notch showing it's not real, and the other one is not notched. However, you don't let people know that. You shuffle them under the table, get down here, and when the time is right, 1, 2, 3, you point at 2 people. right? With your hands hiding which gun is real and which one is not. I played the original Cash and Guns at least a dozen times now on a copy I got on the aftermarket after it came out at Spiel. It was way more than it should have been, but I had to get this game. And I played it a bunch. I added in the Uzi expansion when that came out and the shotgun. I got the Yakuza expansion. We add all these in, and it's kind of neat just seeing the game shift as you add these different elements to it. Now, on the new second edition, I played a couple times so far, and I played only once with the expansion on a review copy, and it adds in little things that make the game a little more complicated. It's interesting because the second edition was streamlined or dumbed down, depending on which side of the fence you're going to fall on here, where a lot of things from the first edition that were confusing for average players, people who just wanted to learn something, have some fun, that sort of thing, all those were taken out, right? You didn't have a bullet that shot quicker than someone else's bullet, or you had to divide up the loot evenly among everyone who's still in the round. You just go around the table and pick, right? You just focus on those sort of elements. Oh, I get this, and I'm going to point at someone. I pick loot. Okay. It's very simplified in terms of how the action works. Now with this expansion, you can complicate it a little bit more and add these other things, right? You got roles, so if you were already using roles, which are optional in the base game, now you have choice on what you're going to use. You have secrets, which you can use or not use. They're not advertised as being modular, but they are, because you don't have to use them. But if you want to, shuffle up, deal 2 to each player, or just give 1. Don't have a choice first, right? And then once you've experienced them a little, give them 2, and now you get a choice. You can use the loot or not as you wish. You can use the safe or not as you wish. You could just shuffle the key and the briefcase in with the other loot cards and leave everything else as is, right? Change nothing else, just that one little bit, right? Or you shuffle just the fake painting in. There's all these little choices that you can do just to twist the game and make it a little different, right? You don't have to jump whole hog into the expansion, but you just drop it in bit by bit, which is the nature of a lot of expansions on the game market these days, right? They're all at little bits and pieces, right? Things, maybe they were in the original game and they got stripped out. Maybe they were added on later as someone came up with an idea, designer, I've got these 25 ideas for things I want to do. And we drop in little bits and pieces, right? People talk about wanting to get the complete game. Often the complete game is only in the designer's head. And it's not even complete to begin with. It's just thoughts and ideas, and things come to light later on. They decide what they want to add in. Yes, everyone has always wanted a big gun. Now we can make that happen, right? You get more things dropped in over time. So maybe in the future, more cash and more guns. We'll see.